Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk
You should learn something from each and every single round you play.
to fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. What's going on? Today, I have a new legend to the biz of YouTube. I found him probably like 4 or 5 months ago, and I was like, wow, this guy's doing a really good job. So I was like, just started following him more and more, and he's blowing up. I love seeing people do what I do because this is not easy. People think it's easy, but it's not. It's a lot of work, and especially when you start becoming successful at it, it's really cool. So this week on episode 61, I have Gabe Aluisy. Is that how you say your last name? Aluisy? Aluisy from Let's Play Thru on YouTube. So welcome to the show, Gabe.
Hey, Paul. Great to be with you, man.
Gabe, you used to have a podcast, or you still have a podcast right now. What was that podcast called?
I've done a show for a number of years called Private Club Radio, which was really about the business of running a private golf club or yacht club or business club. So on that podcast, I chatted with a lot of general managers of golf clubs all over the world, board members, people in the industry that are doing interesting things, and just trying to educate people on how to run their clubs a little bit more efficiently, more profitably, and have more fun doing it as well. Hopefully stay sane. It's a tough business.
You would just interview like GMs or like all kinds of people in the industry that do what, in that space.
Yeah, pretty much everyone. Although GMs are kind of my target audience, I guess, are the people that listen to the show most often. They're listening to be educated on how to run their clubs again.
Yeah.
A little
like
bit
the
more.
inside edge, right? Like on how to do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one. When I started that show, no one even in the industry knew what a podcast was. So I had to actually teach people, hey, you go to Apple Podcast, or if you're on an Android, you go to Stitch. Like in the time, it was Stitcher.
It's still around,
download
right?
this app and this, and then people are like, what? So it was funny in the beginning. People did not even know what a podcast was.
So how did you record it? Did you record it live in studio? Because Zoom wasn't around back then. So how did you do it?
Yeah, no. In the early days, I used Skype. So literally, someone would call I'd call them via Skype, and then in Skype I could record it. There was a little add-on to Skype, and I record the interview. Right. And then what I'd do is I'd record the intro and the outro, and then kind of stick that interview in the middle of it, and we'd have a show.
That sounds like me, because I would literally just do like a Zoom call. And so I just found StreamYard like probably 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I didn't know this even existed, because I was doing a Zoom call, and then the quality is not that great. You have a lot of editing you have to do, post, stick on the intro, the outro, and an ad somewhere if someone's sponsoring that week, and that's it. It's very similar, because all I do is interview like heads of companies, really. I find it fascinating to get like the inside information, and like it's funny because a lot of entrepreneurs all have the same story, essentially. It's like, doesn't matter if they're huge or they're small still or whatever, but I always enjoy it. I mean, I started this last April after the PGA show. I had this like dream. Damon, who's on my team, he and I got back from the show. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I'm like, I should do a podcast. So I talk to these people anyways, and then that's how this thing started. It's
I love
fun
doing
for
the
me. I
podcast
enjoy it.
because it's my chance to learn from other people. Like the cool thing was it opened up a lot of doors and that were unexpected, or that I wouldn't have necessarily had people I wouldn't have had access to because they'd want to come on and get some exposure on my show. So
it's so weird. In the last 3 years, I've worked with probably 150 brands, so I knew a lot of people. So I'd have really cool conversations. And that's what kind of gave me the idea. But I never thought that then brands that I had never talked to that are large would want to be on my show. I was like, wait, what? For reals? All right.
Nice.
And then opened up doors. But
that's really cool.
So where are you? Don't you live in Florida?
I'm in the west coast of Florida in Tampa. Yep.
Is it humid there?
Yeah, it's starting to finally kind of go away. We've had a lot of rain this summer. That's been the hardest thing for us, is pretty much hasn't stopped raining since middle of May.
real?
We're just today's the first dry day, so after we get off, I might actually go play some some.
Are you gonna
golf.
record it?
Yeah, I'm always like I can't ever play golf for fun these days. I'm always
No, it's all
shooting
work,
something.
dude.
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
do. You gotta make something. You guys gotta B-roll or like do something.
Some pretty humid days though. There's been times on the show this year where like sweat's been dripping off my hat. People are like, "Is it raining outside?" I'm like, "No, it's
You're like,
just
no,
that
this is
hot."
normal. You guys have a lot of mosquitoes there. I have mosquitoes right now, and I hate mosquitoes.
It's not like out. It depends, like if you're near some standing water or something, maybe, but it's not outrageous. They do a pretty good job of mitigating that, I think.
How'd you get into golf? Were you like a pro, or did you play in high school, and then play college, or like how'd you get into golf?
I started golf like really, really young. My father had been like a club professional, and that was his career before I was born. And so I
Florida?
always loved golf. I was one of the few people. None of my friends played golf as a kid. I grew up in Baltimore, not really a golf mecca. Me and my dad, it was the thing that we would do. So I played a lot of golf, just was always passionate about it. When Tiger Woods came on the scene and golf got really popular in the later 90s, that's when my friends started playing, of course. And then, I had some people to play with outside of my dad, but they all got jobs at golf courses. So I was always hanging around golf clubs. They were the caddies, they were the shoe cleaners, that sort of thing at the golf clubs. And Mondays were great because those are the days we got to play for free, being as my friends worked at all these clubs. So just always loved it. It was always like my thing. It was my thing with my dad, and then it just became my thing as well, where I love being out in nature. I love the tranquility. I love the challenge. I love the mental exercise of golf, everything about it. And so when I started my business, which I originally got into marketing, I decided that rather than, do marketing for anything, I want to do marketing for something I was passionate about. So I niched down into the golf world, and that's where things really became pretty fun for me. So then, of course, it's taken me a lot of different ways. But no, I've never been a professional golfer, never managed a club, even worked in a club other than, a couple times I'd help my friends out. So it's kind of cool that a regular Joe like me gets to do something he really loves.
Then you got into marketing with so you graduated from college and then you went right into the golf world, I guess, in the business side of it, right?
Not right away. I studied filmmaking in college. That's actually probably why I do a YouTube channel now. So I worked as a freelance, cameraman, sound department, that sort of thing for documentaries and things that were being made around the mid-Atlantic, DC, Baltimore, Virginia, those sorts of things. So I did that for a few years, then took a full-time job in that business. And then what happened was I left like right in 2007, right before like the big economic crisis. I left the country. I just kind of took nowadays people call it like a gap year. I just took a year off. I've been working for a few years. Me and a buddy of mine were like, hey, let's do something interesting. Let's go see a different part of the world. And I spent a year in Asia. I lived on this little tiny remote island in the Philippines. No golf courses on that island, but lots of cold beer and waterfalls and caves and things to explore. Anyway, I came back. It was 2008. Obviously, it was a bad time to get back into the workforce, but I spent a year back doing design and marketing, and then I eventually decided to open up my own business after that. So it was kind of a roundabout thing.
So like you start your own business in like 2008, 2009?
When I started my business, I believe it was end of 2010. Yeah. Yep.
And then did that focus on private clubs? Is that what?
Not in the beginning. So in the beginning, it was just I was pretty much a freelance graphic designer / marketer. Started as a one-man band, solo shop, and about 2 years into my business, I made the best decision of my life, which was I got a business consultant. To make a long story short, at the end of the year, we were kind of looking at all of our clients, and I had plumbers, I had AC repairmen, I had golf clubs, I had lawyers, doctors, everything you could think of. But I think 6 out of my top 10 clients at the time were golf courses. And my consultant says to me, listen, Gabe, and I wouldn't have noticed it if he didn't point it out. It was just business was business at that point. He says, Gabe, you really need to focus on this and, maybe dive head first. And so I did. And I decided, okay, I rebranded my agency. It's now called the Private Club Agency. And we got very specific about who our target market was, which was private clubs. And from there, that's, again, where I started to find a little bit more success. I think in general, anything in life, right, the more narrow you get, the more granular you get probably the more successful you get as long as you're passionate about.
Yeah, the more you get done too, because you're not all over the place like changing.
Yeah, it's true.
What you're doing,
more efficient. Yep.
That was kind of like a turning point, right? Because you were doing consulting, or you're like, freelancing, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, word is to call it, but for multiple different kind of industries with your skill set, but then you've like really niche down into golf, because probably not a lot of people doing that either, right?
No,
I don't know anybody.
Handful of companies that really specialize in private club marketing. Yeah.
So is that when you started your podcast, like around the same time?
Yeah, it was about a year or so into that. So this was, again, about 7 years ago now. So 2013-ish, maybe something like that. I started podcasting. I actually started with a podcast called The Branding Podcast because, again, at the time I was kind of a more broad-based thing. But about a year into that, I actually pivoted from that podcast to something called Private Club Radio. That's when I started that show. And that's really when my business and myself personally found a serious measure of success, because again, podcasting, it was new, nobody knew anything about it, there was no other competition, that was it. So kind of right place at the right time sort of thing.
You started niching down and you're doing, focusing on golf clubs, and that's what you did for the last 8-10 years, right, until COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Helping.
And you would travel, because you were telling me as we talked on the phone a couple of weeks ago, you're like, you would travel all over the United States and the world, really the world, going to different clubs, right? Like South
exactly.
America and Europe and
all over the place. What happened was because of the podcast, I had exposure to the really smartest people in the industry. I learned so much from them, and then the experience of really helping these clubs all over the place. I wrote a book called The Definitive Guide to Membership Marketing. And again, at the time, there's no book about how to market a private club either. So that really probably more than anything bolstered, I guess, my, gave me a platform. So then, these clubs would call me to come speak or consult with them. Associations within the private club industry said, "Hey, Gabe, can you speak at our conference?" and things like that. And so, I started really traveling and seeing more and more. And it's kind of like a snowball effect. Once you're the kind of the go-to expert in that industry,
the guru, right?
Things get easier for sure. Yeah.
But then COVID put the nix on that, right? Even though golf was still good, traveling is not happening, right?
Yeah. So if we get into Let's Play Thru, I started that show 2 years ago. Because I was going all over the world, I was seeing the most amazing places. I had access that most people wouldn't necessarily have, and I was really lucky to have it, and I knew I was lucky to have it. I thought, well, it would be cool if I kind of shared this journey with people. Obviously, that would also help my brand and that sort of thing. So I started a golf travel show called Let's Play Thru. And the premise was myself and some of my friends, I would take them around, and we were going to these super exclusive places and these really nice resort properties around the world. And then, like you said, COVID hit. So not a good time to be doing a golf travel show. At the same time, I had done a few product reviews that had given me some success, and I realized, listen, I can do a show about a Garmin
products.
Watch. That
was your first one, right? This is what I love, because I love looking at people's YouTube channels. And I was telling him, because I'm like, Gabe and I have been talking for a month, and I was more of a fan of what he was doing. And I went to his Instagram, and I'm like, whoa, dude, he has I know this guy is. So I reached out to him, and I was like, I like just to talk to you, because not a lot of people do this, right, at all. You have probably a handful. I've said there's probably 20 people on YouTube total, but 10 of them, everybody knows who they are, and they have 1 million subs, right? But then there's but to do this the right way, it's cool on Gabe's channel. And this is what blew my mind, because you could literally see the moment it started working, right? Because YouTube's very, very, very hard. I'm sorry, it is. That's what I think. Instagram, it's a pain in the ass. Internet, Google, it's a pain in the ass. YouTube is hard as hell, because it's not about content. It's not just about, it has to be good content. And it has to there's so many factors. I had no idea, because for the first year and a half, I'll be honest with you guys. I have high quality video, it's shot real well and everything, but it was crap in YouTube's eyes, because it's okay, you can't have a long ass intro, right? Because people are gonna bail. And I never looked at this stuff until the last 3 months, and I was like, oh my god, what was I doing? So now it's everything I do forward, it's I started looking for more YouTubers to see okay, how do they do this? How do they? You look at Rick Shields or somebody, it's dude, he's been going on for forever, so that's not the right. You can see when Gabe worked, because that was last March, right? April, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, when I turned the corner of 2021, I think I had maybe just under 2,000 subscribers. So it really was like February when I started rolling out a ton of product reviews. Yeah. I still, for that first, like for 2020, I still had a lot of golf travel content. We were still able to kind of do a little traveling around the US. So I kind of made it work. But like you said with YouTube, you got to be really specific about what you're about. And so I was putting out golf travel vlogs at the same time I was putting out reviews, and that just wasn't working for the algorithm. So when I decided to really concentrate specifically, and I'm going to be the product review guy for your average golfer out there, that's when things got good. Yeah.
You can see like he has good videos, right? Like he's playing golf in Ecuador, he's playing golf wherever, right? And it's 1,000 views, right? But then he does a review on like the Garmin watch, and it like gets 100,000 views, and it's like, wait a minute, I put this much time in that video, and I put this much time and money in this video, but nobody watched it. Why?
We're talking like days and days to make those travel.
Yeah, and you're like, all like, what did I do wrong, right? Like this doesn't make any sense. But it's very finicky, right? Like YouTube is, because it's about watch time. It's about when people jump off the video. It's not all so much about the content itself, like the physical product. Now, one thing I think you did really good on, and I'm proud of you on this, is like you got the R10 before anybody, which I don't even know how you did that. And that freaking blew up your channel, because like he was the only guy.
It's always
there. It is. I mean, now it's out. It's been out for 2-3 months, right? But like Gabe had the only one in the United States, it seemed like, because no one did any reviews. There was nothing. And Gabe, and what you did is, I love this, is like he made one video and then he doubled down, he tripled down on the same stuff, because people wanted that content.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing. When you find some success on YouTube, you've got to hit it hard.
That's exactly what everybody says. All the big YouTubers that like teach you YouTube, that's what it is. Like, there's different types of YouTubers, right? Like there's a guy who's always looking for the big viral thing, right? Like a Mr. Beast. But then it's like, for somebody trying to get into YouTube, that's why I really want to bring Gabe on the show, because Gabe's figuring it out, right? As he goes along, he's kicking ass. Like he went from in a year and a half, he went from 2,000 subs to like almost 25,000. That's hard. That is very, very hard. But one thing you taught me when we were talking on the phone, I think is really cool, is that like, not only did you just like, okay, I'm getting subscribers, but you're also trying to build a community, right? Yeah. Like he really does have a community around him. That's so key.
Yep. I mean, they're the ones who give me all the ideas for the videos now. And once I really know who my folks are, I can give them what they want. And it ends up making it a little bit easier. Now it's honestly easier, I guess, now to be a YouTuber, now that I've got people that tells me, hey, Gabe, have you checked this out? Or I've even had people a couple weeks ago sent me some golf clubs and things just because they wanted me to try them out. That kind of stuff, invaluable. And I'm not saying like brands, because brands would send me stuff, but these are like just people that watch the show and like, hey, Gabe, would you check this? I have a 73-degree wedge right now that I'm working on. So that gets really fun. But yeah, I think in not just YouTube, but anything like what you're doing, Paul, or if you're a content creator out there, the key is to really get to know your audience better than the rest of the people in your space. And if you can do that, then there's no way you can't win, because you're giving them exactly what they want. And you'll start to attract the right people to what you're doing.
Because you're not a pro, right? You're okay.
I'm a 4.3 handicap, so
yeah, so he's pretty good, but he's not a pro, and he's better than me. But we all kind of fit. Like anybody who's not like, even par, right? Like anything above that, we're all the same. We're all trying to chase the same number, right? It all depends on like where you're at, right, and where your skill level. But like, there's not a lot of people like Gabe or myself out there. The thing about YouTube is there's lots of pros, right? But that would be such BS if you're trying to give a lesson on how to do something, right? That's like me. Like I have a couple of videos I did with my instructor. He's teaching me, and I'm like, oh, this is good content for someone else to learn it. I would never come across like, oh, I can tell you how to play golf. Yeah, I'm the last person who should be asking how to play golf, right? Like I'll tell you what's a good product.
On the flip side, yeah, like people enjoy seeing someone I have an average swing speed. I have a driver, my driver swing speed's 98, 99, 100, maybe 100 at maximum miles per hour. And that's much more relatable to your average person out there than a lot of pros too. So you just got to work with what you've got, and you've got to really find your lane. And once you do, you got to give people what they want. Right. So sometimes, there's videos I'd like to make personally or selfishly, videos that I think would enjoy creating. Like I enjoyed creating travel vlogs. but at the same time, sometimes I have to give.
But nobody wanted to watch it. That's the problem.
I give people what they want to watch a lot, so.
Well, it's a balance, right? If someone's paying for that travel vlog, like a brand or a company, okay, yeah, I'll review it. But if you're doing it yourself, it's like, no, man, like that's a lot of time and energy that I don't want to put into that.
Yeah.
See what I did? I'll tell you.
Comes back to the audience. If it's not something they want to see, then it's maybe not worth me doing at that point,
One thing I found is I've done a lot of videos, but some of them are products that like I like some of the smaller and mid-sized brands that are like doing stuff. But is that really good for YouTube? Like not really, because nobody knows what they are. So it's not like there's a lot of search for it, and I can get my hands on anything now, really, which is kind of where I'm trying to turn my game around. But for you, like you've even done like more virally stuff, like when you went to, like this is hilarious. He went to Costco and like bought everything golf at Costco, like everything you could possibly buy.
That was probably when my channel really blew up for the first time.
Dude, he got 280,000 views. He made bank on that. I bet he did, because I know what my views are, and I'm like, I don't make that much money, but like
Costco views were almost 1 million views for those videos. Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have a collection?
Yeah, so like I did what happened, and again, this is the power of the community. It all started from there. So I'll tell you the quick story, Paul. Someone left a comment in one of my videos. Hey, have you checked out the Costco wedges? I hadn't at the time. Obviously, I hadn't checked out.
I've seen them as I walk by, and I'm like,
I didn't even know they honestly I didn't have a Costco membership. I didn't even know these things existed. I knew of Kirkland signature balls, but that was it.
Yeah, who doesn't? Yeah.
Yes. So I did a little bit more research, and then I think I put out a social post about it, and then someone mentioned, well, hey, if you're going to Costco, you should check out the Callaway Edge set. So I did the video. Okay, I went to Costco and found everything I could find, right? So at the time, I found the Kirkland signature putter, the wedges, the balls, gloves, and some other.
How much did you spend on that first run? I always wondered.
I think it was $800, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Which you more than made back on that video.
Wasn't bad. Maybe even less, actually. Maybe it was like,
It's Costco.
So I did that video, and then someone in that one of those videos, because that was a series of 4 videos. So I did me shopping Costco. I actually brought my family along. Then I did a video about the wedges, a video about the putter, a video about the balls, and maybe one other. But in one of those videos, someone said, hey, Mike, down in Fort Myers, we just got stocked the Callaway Edge set. You should check that out, which is like this $500 set of clubs. It's Callaway branded that only Costco sells. And it's like the whole set. You get the driver, 3
and they're pretty good from what I've been told.
Oh, they're really good. I shot even one with them. on my show, which was incredible. I didn't expect to. Because of that, I took this journey to find those clubs. So I visited all the Costcos. I couldn't find them. And I ended up going 300 miles down to this Costco in Fort Myers that had them. And that video specifically, people loved because it was like, they were going on the journey to track these.
It's the traveling. It's like
things
I'm on a mission to find these golf clubs. It would have been so much easier if you just called.
Yeah. So I did a video about that, and then I did a video playing with them. So I think maybe a series of 7 or 8 videos, but yeah, all told about 1 million views with those. Yep.
That's a lot of views.
Yeah.
Like I got some big videos, but like they're not like the copyright on it. I don't make any money on it, so it's like,
oh yeah.
I've
got a new set. I have the box here. This is the box because I'm actually playing with them. But have you heard of this set? This is the Cobra Fly XL.
No.
Cobra Fly XL. So this is the Costco clubs are so hard to get. You can't. It's very difficult to find. Like I had to drive all that way to get them. That set is a little bit more attainable. It's about the $800-900 range. You can get them. You can actually order them off Amazon. And so I'm going to go head to head now, those versus Costco. So we should have some fun with that.
That's cool. There's a lot of activity on, like, seriously, like set clubs, they sell out everywhere because like there's so many new players now that like
so many people got into golf the last year or two. Yep.
It's like, I mean, I've sold tons of sets on my website, like just affiliate. I can see like I'm like, from Amazon or whatever. When we were younger, like people would bash a set, like all this was crap. Those are not anymore. I mean, really. Like,
sets have definitely gotten better. Those first. Back in the day, those sets were pretty junky, but there's actually some quality stuff coming out now.
Is that your biggest video, you think? I mean, your Garmin one.
Oh, Garmin, yep. Anything Garmin's good, and then my Costco videos do well. Yep.
That's awesome. See how it kind of turned out though, because you were not expecting that. You were like, "Oh, I'll make a video." Some people were saying it's pretty good.
Nothing like that. No, and it was crazy when you see. I don't know. I was at the peak of it. I was averaging 500 subscribers a day and maybe 50,000 views a day, which was crazy. for my channel, which had been averaging like 5 or 10,000 a day max.
That's insanity.
Yeah, it was a big.
When was the point and you're like, yo, I could do this for reals? Like, because you start making money on it, not just doing it.
I
When
made
was
the
that?
decision
What
really
month
to
was
go
that?
full time last fall. That's
What made
when
you decide that?
How did I decide that?
Or what made you? Were you making enough money where you're like, I can replace my income? Or was it like,
No,
my other
I could
job was
just-
kind of in the dumps because
I was able to
of
peek
COVID?
around the corner of what was going on. I saw my business and what was happening with it at the time, and I knew I'd got it. I had the opportunity to give it a chance. Still
That's
took
all. Yeah.
3 or 4 months of slogging along with nothing happening, but when in February we turned that corner, and it's been good ever since.
That's interesting because that's the hard part, because when you're double dipping, right? When you're working a full-time job or a part-time, whatever you're doing, and trying to do YouTube, it's like you can't fully you probably have a million ideas in your head, and if you're going to film that shit, because you do everything, right? You film, you edit, you do the graphic design. Like you're a one-man show, right? You're not sending this out to anybody, which is badass, right? I don't I have like one of those skills, right? I own Premiere Pro, and I don't even like using it because it's too much for me. That's a lot of work. I mean, all the extra stuff. It's not just you going to the golf course. Gabe doesn't go to the golf course and film himself, and then it's all done in one take.
Yeah, no, I spend 2 or 3 hours just on the thumbnail alone, because that to me is one of the most important things if people are going to click or not. So there's a lot involved. So I make 2 videos these days. I make 2 videos a week. Put out a video on Wednesdays and on Sundays. My entire week is doing that basically. Yep, filming, editing, doing the design.
So your whole week is you're working. It's not like, oh, he only makes 2 videos. He gets it all done in 2 days. It's like, no, it's like a full-time job, right?
Yeah, I put in 30 or 40 hours a week just on those 2 videos. Yep.
But it's probably nice because now you're actually putting 30, 40 hours a week, not 30 or 40 hours on top of another 30 and 40 hours that you already
That's
worked.
true. And I'm really lucky that I have a very intelligent, beautiful wife who was able to allow me to do what I'm doing, to be honest, because
That's badass.
it was just me on my own. Wouldn't probably ever take off, but having
You have
her,
kids too, right? Your kids are like the same age as my kids. So
Yep, I got 2 young kids. Yep, they're both under 9 years old. So yeah, she's a superwoman. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to even attempt what I'm doing. So
that's badass. It's so cool because like you've really grown tremendously. I mean, can you imagine what next year is going to bring? Right, because you went up like I don't know what the percentage is from 2 to 25,000. That's a lot, and you kind of know what to do now, right? Like now you're like, okay, I found the secret sauce on how
to some
to do
degree,
it.
I mean, there's still videos like I'm like, gosh, I can't believe I put this one out and it didn't do so great, or a video that again didn't take me a ton of time, but it just resonated for whatever reason. But the more and more I do it, the more and more I get in tune with the audience and the folks that enjoy watching the show. Get better every time, if I can say that, yeah. Kind of.
So when it comes to like your thumbnails, how do you do your research? Do you like look at other thumbnails, or do you just like know, or how do you figure that out?
Yeah,
you do really
I
good
watch a lot of
thumbnails.
YouTube or consume a lot of YouTube content, so I gauge, hey, what would I click on? What's working, what's not. What are just like with anything, there's trends, right, of things. So, I guess a lot of my time when I'm not being a content creator is being a content consumer
And researcher.
that informs my decisions to some degree. Then there's tools that'll actually tell you. So like I use a tool called TubeBuddy, which is like a YouTube optimization tool.
Mm-hmm.
And what TubeBuddy actually has it built into if you get like their highest level of TubeBuddy is called, I forget what it's called, all-star level or something. It'll tell you, it's amazing. It uses artificial intelligence to say, hey, if you had a thumbnail where you were like a medium close-up, that performed with X click percentage. If I was
That's
this far back,
crazy.
it performed at that click percentage. If I was smiling, it was this. If I was sad or scared or surprised.
It would it was looking at your thumbnail, or just like it's just telling you generally?
The AI like analyzes each and every thumbnail across your channel and tells you what cohesively puts those together and goes for a better click rate. So there's some of that, but more so than anything, it's really just trial and error. I kind of see what works.
Do you ever go back and edit videos already on YouTube? Like you check your analytics, you're like, oh shit, people dropped in the first 30 seconds. Or do you say like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing that in my old videos because I realized I was losing probably a quarter to half my audience in the first 2 minutes or a minute, I would say.
Yeah.
All the BS, like the stupid intro and all that stuff. Like nobody cares about that. People want to like get to the story, right?
Yeah.
That's what they want to know.
Do you
ever do that
go
or
back
no?
and edit them? I will change thumbnails and titles from time to time. I don't necessarily go back and re-edit those videos, but what I do is I learn from every video I do. So, I'd say it took me 75 to 100 videos to really get good at making videos, to think that like I know how to open, I know how to get people's attention and keep that attention through those first few minutes. That took me a long time and it was a muscle I had to practice. I wasn't very good at it to begin with. So yeah, but I don't necessarily go back to old stuff. It's I'm more concerned with moving forward and making.
So what I've been doing, well, my team and I have been doing for the last like 2 months is we've been going back. I want to learn from my old mistakes. Here's the thing: you don't know it's a mistake until you look at the analytics, right? And I would never have known because I had like people helping me that were good. They're really good videographers. They're not YouTubers though. It's different, right? It's a completely different domain.
Yeah, it's different.
So like I've been going back to my old videos and being like, oh crap, everyone doesn't like the first minute because half of it's an intro and a bunch of bull crap, and then I'm just like cutting it all out. So it goes right to this. And then it's like, I don't know if it's really helping or not, but I'm like, historically the analytics are telling me like people don't like this, right? But so now it's like, I'll never do that again. Like don't do an intro. Nobody cares about that stuff. That's like all vanity, I think. I hate it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to YouTube.
But you think it's cool when you're a new YouTuber, like, oh, everyone has an intro. It's like, no, they don't. Like, unless they're like Peter McKinnon or somebody if you're a big time YouTuber, you can do whatever you want. But if you're not, like, have you ever had a video that like picked up like a long time after you published it and you're like, whoa, where'd this come from? Because I've had that happen before.
Yeah, absolutely. The Costco videos when I first released them were good, but not great.
At some
It
point,
was about a month into it that it eventually picked up and really skyrocketed. One of them skyrocketed. But
I
yeah,
published
that
these
happens all the
videos.
time. That happens all the time.
I published these videos in December of 2019, and in June of this year, it got picked up. The algorithm, I don't even know why. I did nothing. I don't even like these videos. They're stupid. And like I was getting like I get tons of YouTube videos now, and I'm like, why? Why did all of a sudden YouTube find it? It's so weird.
It can be pretty random sometimes, for sure.
What I think it is though is I think when like you with your end screen, if someone else who's maybe has a lot of views on our video and has the end screen it says like let YouTube pick or whatever. I mean, maybe that's why I did it. I don't really know. It was just really random.
No,
so what's next for you? What are your plans for the fall?
Now that it's dry outside, I'll be playing a lot of golf and reviewing a lot of things. So I have a lot of just compilation videos to create. So I was finishing up different series where like I looked at all the different top of the line rangefinders, all the different really budget model rangefinders, all the different, like with the Garmin R10, all of the different launch monitors in the $500 or so price range, that sort of thing. So I've got a lot of those kind of end of the year videos that I'm working on. I don't plan on really creating anything new. It's just more of what I'm doing right now. We've got something kind of fun happening next Tuesday. We're doing the Let's Play Thru meetup. So it's the first time I get to actually, people are always like, hey, can we play golf or whatever? I wanted to give people a chance to actually do that. So we're going to have a few foursomes go out here next week at my home club where I shoot all the videos. People are traveling over to come do it, and we'll have some fun with that. So depending on how that goes, maybe we'll do another one in the winter because Florida's a nice place to do that sort of thing in the wintertime. But apart from that, just making a whole lot of videos.
Are you buying product? Or are you getting it for free? Or are they all demos? They'll say all the above.
Mostly companies send me stuff. All my golf technology is sent to me. I'm lucky that I've got a sponsor, playbetter.com. That's where I get all my golf technology, and you should too. They've got access to pretty much anything I want in the technology side. And then I've got relationships with maybe let's say half the golf club manufacturers. So we'll get things sent that we're going to review. Some things I do buy, like that Cobra set. I bought it because it was sold out in a lot of places anyways. And so I'll buy it.
That's the hard part. Like I feel like there's always strings attached when you get it from brands, even though it's an unsaid string. I'm always honest with my review, but it's like you have deadlines and it's like, oh, when are you going to publish that video? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, you're like one of 50 I'm working on, but you gotta be nice. Like, oh, I'm working on it. I saw there was an episode where you went to like your local golf shop and were like checking stuff out, whatever.
Yeah, I've got a good relationship with Edwin Watts here in Tampa that lets me come do a lot of reviews there too. Yeah, so I'll just try stuff that's right on the rack basically.
And then what do you do? You just go in the cage, or you'll hit in the simulator or whatever.
Yeah, they've got a GC simulator
Quad.
right there, so I'll use.
What tech do you own right now? Like what? Like I know you're the R10, right?
Yep.
And then how'd you get that? When did you say like you didn't even know it was gonna blow up, right? Like someone just gave it to you.
I had an idea that one was gonna blow up.
You did or didn't?
I knew that one was gonna be good. What's that?
Oh, you did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you order it, or did somebody just have one and they're like, "Oh, yeah, let me use that"?
Play Better gave it to me. They got one, and Garmin was nice enough to allow me to do the review. So
that's awesome. See that's it. If you want to do really well on YouTube, you got to get this stuff like before it comes out, so you have the content ready. So when it does come out, and when Gabe was releasing those videos, trust me, I already looked. There was like a 3 and 4 week wait just to get the Garmin. Like nobody had it in Arizona. I know that for a damn fact. Now you can get it now, but this is back in August, like early August.
It's still on a big wait list though. It's kind of like the iPhone. Like when the iPhone came out, you see those lines of people. There was pre-orders that would probably still fulfill. Honestly, they're probably still fulfilling pre-orders. I don't even know, but they're backed up in the production of them. In terms of the demand, there's just such a great demand for those things. It's an awesome device. I mean, for the price, like $600, I mean, there's nothing like it that's going to give you a full simulator and do all the things that it will do for that price point. You're usually buying a SkyTrack or something like that for $2,000.
Yeah, so I watched a video you did like a year ago where you're doing the Mevo Plus in the backyard with the kids. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the Mevo, was that your friend's Mevo Plus? Wasn't that what it was?
That was Wade's Mevo Plus.
It was Wade's, right? Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think of the Mevo Plus?
I like it.
It's expensive though. It's $2,000. I mean, it's like
I mean, I wouldn't personally buy one just because it is that particular price point.
You could buy a Rapsodo, Garmin, or 10. You could buy like 5 things for the price of that.
I'd buy an R10 to anything other than probably a SkyTrack. I like the SkyTrack for indoors, but like if you want something mobile, like I travel, or used to travel a lot, then I love having the R10 for that purpose. You can't do that with a SkyTrack. But if I had it's just a pure like indoor setup at a reasonable price, that's $2,000. I mean, reasonable in golf terms. I'd probably go SkyTrack. But when it comes to everything else, like any kind of Doppler little unit, anything in the $500 to $1,500 range, I'd go R10 all day. Yeah.
What do you think about the regular Mevo? I'm kind of like, it's okay. It's kind of annoying because it talks to you all the time. It's like, shut up, dude.
I just reviewed it on the.
I know you did. I thought I was asking.
Yeah. I liked it more than I thought I would, honestly, because I used the Mevo Plus, which obviously is great, but $2,000. I didn't think that for $500 it would be. What I liked about it was that it was easy to set up. To me,
that's a big deal. Like
when it comes to technology,
when there's a learning curve, you're like, no thanks. That was like me. I had a Rapsodo for like 6 months, and I still didn't know how to use it until I talked to them on the phone, like their GM, and I was like, "Oh, that's how you use it. Okay, cool." And I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." But like before that, I'm like, "I don't want to learn how to use stuff." Like I'm just lazy. I don't know.
It's just.
But they're all the same.
I'm a really techie person. There's some things that I cannot, I just can't figure out. And it's happened to me this year, and I wrote back to the company like, I can't review your thing. I can't even get it to work myself. Never mind to teach anyone else how to do it. So,
what you tell me what product that was, or no?
No, I better not. Probably.
Dude, one time I did a review. It's a funny story. One time I did a review on a rangefinder, and it was a piece of shit. And it's a mid-sized brand. If there was trees behind the flag, it wouldn't read, right? And so then we did the review, but I didn't publish it yet. And then we sent it back to the company, and we're like, this thing doesn't work. Like, this is your main thing. I'm like, you sure you want to publish this? Because then we're it must be. And then they're like, they're damage control. Like, oh, they'll send you another one. It's that one unit, and it's sent to our tech team. And I'm like, but they wouldn't work with me after that. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's happened. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes I'll have a defective unit and I'll have to send it back, get a new one. That does happen with technology. I think that's how technology is.
What's the name of that store that helps you? Would you say it was called? The online
Playbetter.com.
Playbetter. That's right. Yep. So then where are they based out of? They're not in Florida, are they?
Nope. They're based out of my kind of hometown of Baltimore, Maryland.
How'd you find them, or did they find you?
They found me. Yeah, they liked what I was doing. Yeah.
So they've
I
been
love
providing you, they're just providing you product, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
See, that's the best thing, I think. I'll be honest. If you can get product from a third party, like a retailer, then there's like really no strings attached because you're like both like they're trying to sell the product. You're trying to review the product. When you get from the manufacturer, they're like, oh well, let's maybe make sure everything really works. And
I like dealing with retailers for that reason because I'm always going to give people my honest opinion.
Me too. I don't care.
It's a lot easier to do that when I don't have to deal directly with the manufacturer for sure. But sometimes I do, and if it's something I really hate, I probably just won't do the video about it. Like I'm just not going to put that out. But it's funny, like I get accused all the time, and I'm sure this has probably happened to you or anyone who's ever created content. But like I was raving about the Garmin R10. People are like, oh, you must work for Garmin. I'm like, no, I don't. It's just awesome. Like, am I allowed to be really excited about something?
Can I like something? Like it? Well, what just released a video yesterday. Oh, I reviewed the Hanma hybrid, the LB, and then the Fairway, the big LB, right? Yep. And I never owned a Hanma club my entire life, but my friend was able to get me to get those two clubs. Holy crap, those things are amazing. And I don't just say that because I'm like, how am I going to sell a Hanma club, right? Like the hybrid is one of literally the best hybrids I've ever hit in my entire life. Like I actually can hit it. It goes straight. It goes far. And I was like, and I had a Titleist hybrid that was supposedly like the best one I've ever made. Nope. So it's kind of cool when you find like that's the only time lately where I've been like, oh, this is really good club. Like because it's like it blew my mind. If it helps my game, it's gonna help someone else's game, right?
Yeah, that's the fun. That's the most fun when you find something that is not getting a lot of attention, or maybe is getting the wrong attention for whatever reason, and you can show people. I think almost for all these products that exist, there is somebody that it's probably best suited for. Like so, for instance, I'm using I don't have it in front of me, but I'm reviewing a really high-end Bushnell rangefinder. Now, I'm not going to recommend this particular rangefinder for someone who's budget conscious because it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's like probably a $500 rangefinder, right, or something.
But it's perfect for someone who's in a very specific part of their life or their game or whatever. So, and it happens on the inverse. There might be something that's really cheap. It's probably not great for the masses, but there's a really specific subset of people, or this is the perfect device for them. So that's what I always try to do, and I always try to frame my reviews in that way.
Always be honest. That's what I am.
Who I think this one is best suited for.
So like I did reviews of like I released one like a week ago, but I did all the drivers, right? But then I did all the models of each driver, right? So all three models of that driver. Like I'm in the simulator hitting them, and I tell everybody about each of the drivers, but then at the end I'm like, okay, this one I couldn't hit at all. This one, because that wasn't made for me, right? Like, because that's the guy who has a slow swing speed, or that's the guy who has fast swing speed, or that's the old guy who needs to launch. Like, they're all made for somebody different. There's no one shoe fits all.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll be honest, like some people were joking around. They're like, holy crap, how'd you get like a 40-degree launch angle on a driver? I'm like, I don't know. Like, because it probably wasn't made for me, and I probably didn't hit it right. That's the other thing, too. I'll tell you what I've learned, okay? Don't hit a bunch of drivers in one day. That's a lot of. One time I hit every driver, and it was like,
you get tired. Yeah.
Oh my god, I probably swung a club 250 times. But the last one, it was on the Ping G 425. I couldn't even hit. I couldn't even swing my body. I was just like, and then I'm like, this thing doesn't work. I can't hit that far because I was already so exhausted. So that's the first lesson.
Yeah, I try not to do more than like 2 or 3 clubs in a session.
So when you do, you're like,
I get flack for that too. They're like, oh, you should have swung them all on the same day with the same conditions. I'm like, well, listen, then this would have gone wrong. So there's no pleasing everyone on YouTube.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, what are you? You got to ask yourself, like, am I just giving you information like a friend? Like if you're like, hey, that's a cool club, tell me about it, right? That's kind of that's kind of the role I like to play. And I think you're very similar, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But you're not the guy who's like, oh, I'm going to test every single one out on a Iron Byron and like, give you every single thing. It's like, you're not that guy. You're not my golf spy.
Well, no one's
right?
and no one's a robot. That's the other thing, right?
But there's also different subsets of players. Like some players want that, like they're all into the data, and some people just want to know what's a good club, right? So it's like you got to figure out who your audience is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I have the best audience there is because they're
cool audience.
They realize what I'm capable of, and they appreciate my perspective. So we're aligned that way for sure. But there's days like, for instance, going back to like drivers, things like that. Like where one day I just wasn't hitting a particular. It was a Titleist TSI 3. I remember I reviewed that driver, and then I ended up doing it again. Like there's so many videos people will never realize how many videos that like I just never released because maybe that day I wasn't swinging the TSI.
It's not a good video.
I couldn't release that video knowing that this wasn't the best I could give for that, like, so I redid it, and then of course that next time I did it, I played much better with that particular driver, and I released that video because it was more in tune with what my normal, numbers would normally look like. There's a lot of just so many things that happen making these videos that were like, in Florida, it's very difficult in the summer. Like a couple of times, my equipment just completely melted down in the heat and humidity.
Really?
I'm 3/4 of the way through the video, and I basically had to start all over again. So there's tons of stuff that just never makes it to see the light of day. What
are you using? A Sony A7 III? Is that like your main camera?
That's my main camera, and then sometimes I'll even just use my iPhone. But for the most part, the A7S III, yeah.
And you just carry that with you on like a tripod, like a Gorilla Pod or something, or a full
tripod, and the tripod generally I walk these days, so it's in my
bag,
like in my bag, and so then I can kind of like position it, and it's on the cart, if that makes sense. You have to see a picture of it.
Do you take the tripod out like of the bag each time you swing, or is it already attached to the cart?
No, 90% of the time it stays right in my bag, but I'll take it out like if I have some shot, maybe I'm on the other side of a hill or something.
Yeah.
And I can't like set my cart up behind me, then I'll take it out with the tripod and walk over there with it.
Then how are you? Let me ask you this: when you're walking on the course, are you holding the tripod and like like when you're doing the vlog style?
I'm doing vlog style, I am, yeah. And a lot of times I'm like huffing and puffing.
I know.
So that's the other thing. I get like, oh man, you're so out of shape. Like how can you can't even walk one hole? And again, you don't realize that like this is my 10th hole of the day. It might be the first hole for the video, but I might have played 9.
It's hot. And I'm carrying a camera that weighs about 4 pounds, and I'm trying to make sure I'm in the frame.
It weighs about 15 pounds, probably. Yeah, and I'm holding it out in front of me. So yeah, it's
you probably have like
it's a lot harder than it looks sometimes. But
come on, man, why?
Yeah. And I might have been running to like get 2 holes ahead, so I don't have anyone behind me. Is the other thing, right?
So you're walking with a cart, like a push cart? Or that's like, yeah. Yep. Could you imagine you're carrying your bag with all that crap? Oh my God, there's no you would make it past.
I couldn't carry. No, that wouldn't happen. Yeah. For a while, one of the manufacturers let me use the MGI Zip Navigator. That was the best because I didn't even have to push. I had this little remote.
You should give it to me so I can keep.
I wish they would. Yeah. Maybe they'll watch your show and decide to do it. But yeah, I had to give that one back, unfortunately.
Right. In the next couple of months, so like you're no more podcasts. You're just gonna be focusing only on YouTube.
Yeah. So, well, at least by the end of the year, I'm going to do Private Club Radio to the end of the year because I have sponsors of the show that I've made a commitment to. So I want to finish strong for them, but we won't be doing that show in 2022. Likely, you'll see a Let's Play. So we have a Let's Play Through Golf Travel podcast right now, which often is actually hosted by my friend Leighton, who manages a club in the UK. I do some of the episodes. He does some of the episodes. He just did an Australian series. Now he's going to be doing a series on the UK. But likely you'll see a Let's Play Through equipment review show coming out in podcast form. So in 2022, that will probably happen.
Would that be you or him? Or
that'll be me. Yeah. So it'll just kind of be an extension of the YouTube channel, basically. I'll just have the bandwidth to do it because I haven't had it with doing Private Club Radio. But once that
you should probably do that as like a live stream so your fans and people can talk on the side and you can like answer them. Yeah. That's the one thing I like about this live stream stuff is like it didn't happen today because this is not my normal day for recording. But it's cool because if I'm with a brand, people ask the brands like questions, and I'll either ask them or my guest will just read the questions and be like, "Oh, it's a good question," and they're like, I don't know, I love it. I think it's so much easier.
It's great to have the interaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people like it too. Like a lot of my fans, that's the thing too. I don't know about you, but like I won't really call them my fans. Like a lot of people become my friends. Like I text them, we like talk all the time. Like, I mean, there's tons of guys and gals that like are supportive of the show and supportive of me, and I become friends with them. It's cool. I don't know. I think I love it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's golf, right? Like that's the thing. Like I don't get too serious about this. Like it's golf. Like,
Lots of people get serious about their golf, though.
I know, but it's like, this is my fun.
Unfortunately, hit a bad shot.
Oh, I hear it all the time. Like, nice shot. I was invited to go play golf with Devereaux today, the clothing brand. But I'm like, I can't. I actually have a hearing this morning I have to go to. Which sucks. But it's cool. Here's the cool thing. Is that you get to meet and the thing about golf is that since it's golf, it's fun and people get to really, I don't know, have you found that golf is a very small world? Because I didn't really realize that until I came into
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
It's like teeny tiny. And really just talking about a game that everybody likes to play. So like, why wouldn't it do?
More and more people are playing, which is a great thing for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see more. I personally would love to see more ladies and children getting into the game because, if we don't have them to truly grow the game, we need to have more representation from other categories for sure.
I think that's the one thing I found in the last couple of years, which I really like, supporting the brands that are doing that when it comes to like products or apparel or gear, when they're like it's not so inclusive. You know what I mean? Like they're doing something like innovative, and I'm like, oh, it's really cool. You're like bringing it to like, I think people talk a lot like, oh, that's what we want to do, but they don't ever do anything about it. And I think it's really cool when a brand like focuses on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I always love finding those stories with Private Club Radio. There's charities that help folks who are handicapped get into the game, that sort of thing. People who are traumatized or have PTSD, any of those types of things. I always love, like you said, organizations that are actually doing something productive.
Well, I think you're going to blow up, dude. I mean, you already kind of are, but I think like in the next 5 years, Gabe will have 1 million subs. I bet for sure. I know it's his goal. That's everyone's goal.
Yeah, 100,000 is my goal right now, but really in the
100,000 is that your goal right now? 100,000,
my current goal, but
my goal is to get 25,000, so I'm beating Gabe. I'm just kidding.
Good.
You're like, good luck, dude. You're like, I'm totally kidding around.
But my main goal is really to help people, no matter how many subscribers I have. It's more about helping people make the right decisions. Golf is super expensive, I want and if you're going to invest your money, I want people to invest it wisely.
That's exactly why I do this. You know why? Like my whole starting of this was because I got tired of walking to the golf shop and asking the guy, like, if you're a busy father, like you don't have time to do research, and all this stuff. So you're like, oh, what's a new driver? It's really good. And they'll be like, oh, it's these 5. And they don't really know, and it's like, that's when I started this whole site. Like, seriously, I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm just going to write about it. That's literally how I started. And then like, I've now tried, now it's different because I'm doing a lot of other products, but
yeah, that's awesome though. That's great to do something that you really love. That's the best thing.
Well, thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It was a great time. You
guys need to check out his YouTube channel. It's Let's Play Thru. Search it on YouTube, you'll find it right away. But Gabe's doing some really cool stuff. He has great videos. They're entertaining. And you could tell he's just like a normal dude like all of us, right? He just records what he's doing. Well, thank you for being on the show. Do you have a website too, or no, you're not going to do a website?
I mean, you can go to letsplaythru.com. I think the website's still geared more towards the travel side. But yeah, find us on YouTube. We do 2 videos every single week, Wednesdays and Sundays, looking mostly at technology and golf clubs these days. Sometimes you'll get some life lessons thrown in. We have some fun, but let's play.
There's that one video you had with your dad, right? That was cool.
That was the best video I've ever made, personally. You won't necessarily get the views as some of the other ones, but that to me was the most.
That was like a tribute almost in a way, like to your dad in a way.
Yeah, that was
really cool.
Yeah,
I did a video with my dad too, but I was almost going to kill him because he invented this training aid a long time ago. And it's really cool training aid. Yeah, it's called the AccuHit. I'll send you one if you want one.
Okay.
And so like this in like the 2000s, it was like late 90s, right? So yeah, we did a video together. It was hilarious. You could tell I was like getting annoyed at some point. I was just like, oh my God, Dad. But people love it. Because I'm making fun of my dad.
That's really cool.
I'm not really making fun of my dad, but he just drives me crazy. Well, cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. Check them out, you guys. It's again, it's at Let's Play Thru. And Gabe, would love to have you on again sometime, maybe in a year when you hit 100,000.
There we go. We'll do it at 100,000. I'll come back on for you.
Cool. All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're gonna beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.